Hello, everybody, and welcome to the June 6, 2018 edition of the Ephrom Josine Show. I am your host, Ephrom Josine. Now, before we begin, I would like all of us to have a moment of silence as there has been some truly tragic news lately, and I mean very tragic. Many of you may know of the Twitter account Educating Liberals. Yes, that's his actual name. Well, he also has a podcast. And he tweeted today something that I'm sorry, I may actually tear up while reading this. Okay. Yesterday, our E4L podcast was at 4.5 stars with 508 ratings. Today, it's at 4 stars with 550 ratings. Only 4 stars. No, what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? Our podcast is a threat to the cancer in America, otherwise known as liberalism, and that is why they are attacking us by making your podcast have a slightly lower rating. I know I'm crying too. And now a moment of silence for that lost half a star. RIP, lost half a star. The 5th of June, 2018 to the 6th of June, 2018. Anyway, sometimes we get flack here at Ephrom Josine because we only talk about dichotomies and mainstream conservatives, and we never talk about the real intellectual powerhouses, mainly 13-year-old and narco-capitalists. Oh yes, we're talking about ANCAP Kid today. Who, on a side note, this is not being unfair to because anarcho-capitalists, including Mr. Dapperton, who's one of the big guys in there, actively praised this kid. He did a Wednesday wisdom tweet, and it encourages such things as capitalism encourages social spending and also self-interest, not just greed. Apparently, self-interest and greed are two different things. Public school is indoctrination. Yes, it's part of their plot to turn you gay. Anything that state can build, example, roads, bridges, the private sector can do it better. I'm not denying that there is some proof of it, but again, look at the toll roads during the Industrial Revolution if you honestly think this is going to not be extremely annoying at best. Universal healthcare is free when you can finally get treatment. Yeah, and privatized healthcare is efficient unless you're one of the 45,000 people who dies every year to the lack of basic healthcare. The war on drugs kills more people than drugs do. Citation needed. Revolution always create power vacuums, and then how are you going to create anarcho-capitalism? Status circular reasoning doesn't help you win debates with us. Okay, good to know. Immigration is objectively better for an economy. Yeah, head to basically all of Europe and see how well that's working. Well, that wasted a good minute and a half. Anyway, the president recently came up with a very good reason to slap tariffs on Canada. The War of 1812. What? You see, even though 0% of economists believe tariffs are good, and for that matter, all they ever do is raise the price of things for the consumer. It does not help the consumer. It raises prices for the consumer. Well, that's fine because the War of 1812 happened. Here's an exclusive from CNN. President Donald Trump and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau had a testy phone call on May 25th over new tariffs imposed by the Trump administration targeting steel and aluminum imports coming from Canada, including one moment during the conversation in which Trump made an erroneous historical reference, sources familiar with the discussion told CNN. According to the sources, Trudeau pressed Trump on how he could justify the tariffs as a national security issue. In response, Trump quipped to Trudeau, "Didn't you guys burn down the White House?" referring to the War of 1812. Yes, Donald. It was Canadian troops that did not exist yet that burned down the White House. And that was who we were fighting in the War of 1812. It wasn't Britain. It wasn't Britain. And for that matter, they did it by importing their steel and aluminum, because what that steel and aluminum were they were actually robots, okay? And those robots burned down the White House. Bet you didn't know that now, did you? Okay, one more story. So the GOP thinks they have finally found a way to win in 2018. Slam dunk for sure. And that is, they are going to run female candidates. Because as we all know, Sarah Palin was, Hillary Clinton was, Michelle Bachmann was, Carly Fiorina was. Wait, where did they get this idea they'd win by default? Now, to be fair, I'm not saying that a woman can't be a representative or a senator or any of that. In fact, we here at Ephrom Josine have supported several of them, including and praised Tulsi Gabbard, Elizabeth Warren, and several others. It's just, that's not a slam dunk strategy, and for that matter, what they're doing is essentially the political equivalent of tokenism. And that's what it's obvious they're doing to anyone who's paying attention, and that's really it. I know today's episode was a little bit jumbled, but that's it today. I'm Ephrom, and good night.